What's up, RBL Nation? Have a great night, great week, whenever y'all are tuning in. Really appreciate y'all for joining us for the RBLR Bulls show. We're excited to talk about USF athletics, the wide breadth, and everything it contains. Give us a like and a subscribe if it's your first time joining us, or if you're a returning guest, we'd really appreciate it. You can also give us a follow at RBLR Bulls or at RBLR Sports. But before we get into any content, because we've got some stuff to talk about. The two basketball teams are great. We've got some really great stuff on track and field and LAX is life, LAX, the tennis program. So we've got a lot to talk about. Before we do, I want to introduce my wonderful co-host, Mr. Musab Tariq. Everything USF, you go through Musab Tariq. How you doing tonight, Musab?
So far, so good. And, I've said it before, it's such a beautiful thing to be covering USF because there is no off season. You know what I'm saying? There's always something big happening. And it's happening even from our small, or our less, kind of popular sports as well. You know what I'm saying? So what a time to be a Bull.
That's right. What a time to be a Bull indeed. Yeah, it's not just basketball and football and baseball. And, we'll get to those sports as well, obviously. The baseball season's kind of coming up sooner than we'd think. There's a lot of stuff going on. And we're going to talk about all of it because it all deserves attention. There are a lot of people putting in a lot of work to make this program really impressive. And, they're doing a pretty good job. USF's in a really good place in terms of their athletic program. But where I wanted to start was the men's basketball team because they took a pretty massive W against FAU this past week. FAU kind of battling with USF at the top of the conference. They're both two of the better teams in the American, and USF came out on top. It was a really impressive victory. Isaiah Nelson, it's a steady Eddie, double-double, 15 and 12, 15 points, 12 boards. Wes Ennis had a really nice game, 19 points. Joseph Pinion had 13 points as well. But CJ Brown, player of the game in my mind, he had 17 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Really impressive performance from USF's one of their top players. When CJ Brown plays well and Isaiah Nelson's playing well, they're a really difficult team to keep up with. So just a really impressive performance from both of those guys, and obviously Wes Ennis and Mr. Pinion contributing as from their scoring. Really, really impressive night. They had a 14 rebound advantage, so they were dominating on the glass like they normally do. And another key to USF winning these games, free throws. They had 12 more free throw attempts than FAU. So no surprise at all why they took this victory. They did all the things that they usually do the right way. So I wanted to start kind of with a general question, Musab. How big of a win was this for you, since this is kind of going to be one of their top rivals in the conference?
Oh, this was definitely big indeed. And of course, kind of just the bigger picture as well. Beating, one of the top opponents in the American Conference. It's respected. It's a little different than it is with football. And on top of that, now we're getting some relevance. I was going on Instagram, even Fox College Hoops is reporting now that, USF, could be as part of the bracket forecast. They got, South Florida at 13 right now. So
Cool.
just overall, cool. It's just, we're winning, we're making things happen. I feel like, we really kind of recovered from some of those disgusting losses in the past. Things like, losing to UAB and then, kind of, dominating them the second time shows that, we learn from our mistakes. So it only gets better from here, hopefully.
Oh, yeah, hopefully. No, I feel you. Yeah, I genuinely think that that big four that we kind of highlighted with the stats, Nelson, Ennis, Pinion, and CJ Brown, when they're all in double digits, when they're playing as well as they were against FAU, there's not going to be too many teams in the American Conference that can keep up with USF when all four of them are clicking like they were. They're tough to keep up with. They're physical with the boards. They get to the free throw line. They're constantly attacking the basket, but they're also shooting a crap ton of threes too. Pinion and Ennis can light it up for sure. They're a really fun team to watch. I really enjoy the style of basketball that they play, that Brian Hodgson kind of employs. It's definitely the modern approach. It's the 3-point layup, not a whole lot of them in the min range, but there's still a lot of fun to be had watching this basketball team because they play hard. They are not, they space the floor. Don't get me wrong, but they really play hard. They really play physical, and it's really fun to watch them play. And Isaiah Nelson, rewarded for his great efforts. He's been named the American Conference Player of the Week. Really impressive stuff. We saw, what can you say about Isaiah Nelson, man? I mean, just double machine.
Big, yeah. I mean, double machine. Yeah. As you know, you and I both said, if he's having a good night, then chances are, we're in good hands. But if he's
That's
looking,
right.
he gets a little scary. I mean, he can do it all. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And I think that's the biggest thing is having that kind of player that you can rely on. To have the big games, and of course it helps that he's our big man as well. So, he's helping, rack up the rebounds, helping in the paint as well.
that's right.
Because the good news is, when it comes to shooting, we got plenty of shooters, but,
For sure.
we need those guys on the inside to be able to kind of, hold it down.
Mhm. Absolutely, man. Yeah, and he's really good defensively too. He's a really solid interior defender. So when he's staying out of foul trouble, it's real easy for USF to play some really solid defense. Because when they've got him anchoring, they can be a little bit more aggressive on the perimeter. Try to get steals. Maybe play a little bit more, not loosey goosey, but a little bit just more aggressive. More risky because you've got Isaiah Nelson back there cleaning up any messes that are made. So yeah, he's huge for them, and he's been huge, and great to see him get that recognition from the American Conference. That's really fun. But up next, they've got Tulane, the Green Wave. So they've got. They've had kind of an iffy season. They're not one of the better teams in the American Conference record-wise. They've kind of struggled in conference play a little bit. And they've got two really key players that you can really focus on. And if you're kind of, maybe limiting them, then you can have a pretty decent night. That's their guard, Rowan Brumbaugh. My apologies about his first name, but he leads the team in points, boards, assists, and steals. 19 points per game, 15 boards per game, 3 assists, and 2 steals per game, which it's kind of fun because, hey, that's their best player. But at the same time, man, if you got a guard leading your team in boards, that's not great. But they do have a big man, Percy Daniels, that can really clean some stuff up defensively. He's averaging almost 2 blocks a game. That's also leading the team. So, yeah, we'll see how they're able to do against Tulane. That's going to be a big game because if they're able to take care of business against Tulane tonight in New Orleans, it's a road game. I think it's a later game, right? I think it's
9 p.m.
9 p.m. That's right. Yeah, so you gotta stay up a little bit to watch it. But it should be a fun game for sure. I'm definitely going to be tuned in. I think it's on ESPN2 or ESPNU. You might, I don't remember, but
no, it's definitely on ESPN Plus.
Yes, that's right. Definitely, yeah, it's definitely on ESPN Plus for sure. But
yeah, I'll have to, yeah.
Yeah, ESPNU. Yeah, it's on ESPNU. I just checked the little app. So even if you're not an ESPN Plus subscriber, you can tune in for ESPNU and watch the USF Bulls take on Tulane. Should be a fun one in the Big Easy. But what are some of the keys to victory, Musa? What has to go right for USF to manage to escape here with a W?
Well, the first thing is, as you mentioned already, all eyes on Rowan Brumbaugh. I feel like it's really Brumbaugh or bust. For this team. Just because, first of all, he's coming off a big game. I think he racked up 35 against Charlotte. And yeah, he can do it all. So, we slow him down. I think that's going to be, first of all, a big factor. But the other thing is just, maintaining the pace. We are the highest scoring offense in the American Athletic Conference. So, Tulane's going to try to slow things down, I assume, maybe try to get us to the free throw line, to disrupt the rhythm. We got to just knock those shots in as well. But those are the kind of overall two things I'm looking at. But players-wise, yeah, of course, Isaiah Nelson, he's Mr. Double-Double. I think he should be able to dominate, Tulane's interior. Wes Ennis, kind of, the human torch. He's got to just stay hot. If he stays, if he hits a couple early, I think it's, going to change the game around a lot. CJ Brown, again, you're just making things happen. The floor general, and then Josh Omojafo, and then Pinion, doing whatever they can. With Omojafo, though, I do like, I feel like he's kind of a foul magnet. You know what I'm saying? He does lead the team in free throws made.
Yeah.
So if the game gets ugly, just the ability to get to the line. One small little thing I want to give a shout out to, I think Damian Collins. I'll tell you this, every time I see Damian Collins and Pinion on the floor, they always have at least one or two nasty pick and rolls, man. You know what I'm saying? Man. So
yeah,
that's one little thing just to look out for if you're watching it tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the fact that USF has two, Damian Collins is a really good player coming off the bench. He's a solid big man to have sort of as almost like a sixth man, quote unquote. But yeah, Omojofo, his slashing ability is really insane. His ability to get to the cup, draw contact, like you were saying, it's really impressive to watch. So, yeah, USF has a 75% chance to win, according to ESPN. Obviously, take that with a grain of salt. But yeah, Tulane 3-4 record in the conference. And if you want to play some kind of narrative ball, if you want to kind of think it out in your mind, Tulane has lost to FAU twice and University of North Texas. USF beat both of those teams, obviously. So, theoretically, USF does have an advantage going into this game. But, games aren't played on paper, all those cliches. Still got to play the game. And it should be a fun one. I'm definitely going to tune in for, some late night American Conference men's basketball. There's not a whole lot better. Maybe Maction in the middle of the college football season.
That's the blessings of Tuesday. Yeah. There's
Indeed.
nothing I'd rather do though on a Wednesday night.
Yeah. Tune into some action. That's great. If you're watching Ball State play Kent State or Akron or whatever, yeah, those are great. But tonight it's USF's turn in men's basketball, and that should be a lot of fun. But shifting our focus to women's basketball, they unfortunately, on the flip side, took an L to FAU. It was a real tight one. Some really back and forth play. It was a really exciting game, frankly. It was a 1-point loss, 63-64. But the Bulls were down 14 in the fourth quarter. But they came all the way back and they were up 1 with 33 seconds left. But then FAU hit some free throws and then a USF turnover, and it was just it was a bittersweet end because it was great to see them fight back. It was a really impressive effort because they dug themselves such a hole early in the game. For them to come all the way back and then still fall short, it's tough to see. But at the same time, they got some really nice performances out of some players. Who are some of the key, who are some of the really big time performances that came out of this game, even though USF took the loss?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Stephanie Ingram. I mean, again, just doing it all. 17 points, 1 rebound. He got a assist, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. Katie Davidson again in the double digits, and as well as Eden Battle, and then Carla Brito, the rebounding leader on our team, doing whatever she can. But unfortunately, yeah, I mean, it really was just a back and forth. It's really nice to see our team fighting back, and I do feel like our women's basketball team, for the most part, I feel like has been pretty strong in the second half. But just in the end, I don't know. Honestly, it just came down to who played sloppier. Honestly, it was neck and neck. I also do want to give a shout out to number 3 on FAU. I'm forgetting her name, but I mean, she was making things out there. She's their star player. She actually transferred with Leanne Freeland, who's the FAU women's coach. So it's kind of like her main star and reliable weapon, and that's exactly what happened. Unfortunately, yeah, just the final seconds we weren't able to execute a quick shot, just the pressure and all that. Loose ball by Stephanie Ingram, and then before you know it, the game was over. So this was the second game in a row. It was another close loss because we had that close loss to Temple, and then now another close loss against FAU. So just sucks just because rankings wise, and I genuinely believe we are better than both Temple and FAU, but unfortunately not those 2 nights.
Yeah, man, it's tough to see because, like you said, Ingram had the loose ball at the end, but she played so well throughout the game. To see it come down to a mistake, it was sort of like the Wes Ennis mistake against Wichita State to compare it to men's basketball. Just just kind of a bummer of an ending. But luckily they turned things around. It was kind of another sloppy, ugly game against Charlotte. But this time they came out on the right end of it. They took a 66-60 W. Took overtime to do so. And it all happened because of a really, really important bank shot by Carla Brito. 2 seconds left in the game. Musab, take us through that game. What were some takeaways? What were some of the highlights? Man, this seemed like a crazy one.
Yeah, this was actually a crazy one. First of all, USF, got a little bit of a lead in the beginning of the game, but after that, Charlotte came right back. Charlotte took the lead. I mean, it was for the most part back and forth. Second half, unfortunately, Charlotte, kind of just turned on the turbo in the start of the second half. At one point they had like an 11-point lead. But, in the end, USF was able to fight back. I have to say one big factor was, first of all, playing smarter. I wanted to give a shout out to, players like, Carla Brito, Eden Battle, for, taking some challenging shots as well. But the thing was, this was a kind of a chess versus checkers game, something that maybe even I wasn't aware about. But Charlotte just not too hot on the free throw line, and we actually kind of targeted that at first. At first, I was watching and I was like, okay, that's a reasonable foul. But then I'm thinking, well, I feel like now we're actually kind of really going for the fouls for a reason, and it made sense because
Mm-hmm.
half the time they were missing those free throws, allowing us to catch up. And then again, with just a few seconds left, big little quick jumper by Carlo Brito to tie the game. 2 seconds left, we went to OT, and that's where we really turned it up. In the extra period, 11-2 surge, we outscored Charlotte 13-7 in overtime. Again, overall free throws making the difference. We were about almost 74%, while Charlotte was 60%. Shout out to our star players out there. Eden Battle, game high 21 points. Was 7 for 8 on the free throws, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Katie Davidson making things happen again in the double digits. Stephanie Ingram, led the team in rebounds, racked up the assists again, 2 steals and a block. And Lauren Putu, with her 500th rebound in overtime,
Hey, very
contributed all around again, 8 points, 6 rebounds, 4 offensive, 1 block off the bench. A big kind of momentum, changing play in the overtime. You have to just watch it, man. She really just kind of went, she really reached for that ball, got in, just put it up for the quick, layup, giving us that, 6-point lead, just firing it up, just what we needed in overtime. And of course, you got to give a shout out to Carla Brito. Only 6 points, but 6 really big points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. 2 blocks. And I have to say, I want to give a shout out to people like Ingram and Carla Brito for, playing more than 40 minutes. It's not
Yeah, that's a
easy.
long night.
I have to say, my biggest takeaway from, USF women's basketball is we genuinely do have the weapons. I'm not going to act like, if we play the best game ever, Carter, we'll be just as good as UConn or South Carolina. No,
Sure.
that's not the case, but we can easily handle anyone in the American Athletic Conference as long as we play smart. There are so many times I see them playing smart and we get real hot, and then sometimes we rush ourselves. We get a little ugly with it, and bad passes, or instead of just taking the shot or the layup yourself, you're giving these kind of there's no need to get saucy with it. So stick to the fundamentals. That's what we did, especially in the overtime. We played real smart. We, obviously knew if we're gonna, fight to overtime, we gotta come out with the win. So in the end, it was ugly. We got the job done, finished strong when it really mattered. Still a lot of cleanup on, but as of right now, though, the good news is we are 4th in the conference. So still some work needed to be done, but this was just this. We also just needed this win because we were on a two loss streak. Two close ones. And again, I was thinking, just before we tied it, I was like, oh my Lord, this is going to be another close loss. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So felt like Reggie Miller, man. I was like,
no, they managed to pull it out, and like you said, they're 4th in the conference now. So they're still in a good spot. They're still in a good spot to make some noise in the American and try to sneak their way into that big conference, into the big bracket. So that'll be a lot of fun to watch, and we'll definitely keep up with both the women's and the men's basketball teams. They're in the thick of their conference play, so we're going to be talking about them every week. But now we're going to shift our focus to the other aspects of USF athletics, track and field. They've got the Legends of Alachua County Invitational this weekend for both men and women. It's a mix of a lot of different folks, Division I, Division II, NAIA, like a UF, of course. They're one of the top programs in the country. And some folks are going to be at the PNC Lenny Lyles Invitational. That's up in Louisville, Kentucky, so in a whole other state. So that's kind of fun as well. Track and field, definitely something to monitor, and we'll keep talking about it as they continue to get into their season. But women's tennis, they had the Tampa Cup. And I love this. Frankly, truth be told, I did not want to admit this, but I was unaware that they were doing this Tampa Cup because it was kind of fun. Like they were incorporating SBC, HC, or excuse me, Hillsborough College. They technically changed, or they're in the process of changing the name from HCC, and University of Tampa, UT. So a lot of different schools participating at this Tampa Cup for the USF women's team, and they dominated. They went 34-3 across 3 days, which it's what they're supposed to do. But what are their highlights or kind of key highlighted performances that you wanted to discuss? When we saw what'd you get from this women's tennis tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. It was just such a, a dominating performance by the whole team. I mean, 24-4 run, doubles, we swept, all pairings. Shout out to, Melissa Sendley, who was 3-0 in the singles, racked up a double bagel, which means, she won 6-0, 6-0. Sienna Leeson again winning 3-0, all straight set wins. Charlotte Rude, again, 3-0 single win. Kelly Vargas Gonzalez, Margarita Marcon, again, both of them 3-0 single wins. But some, and then Francisca Miglio, she had actually a comeback, won again 3-0. Durrani Naroshan was, 1-1 the singles, and Josephine Falster again 1-0 the singles. So kind of a big takeaway, I guess, Melissa Senley and Kelly Luana Vargas Gonzalez both posted, double bagel wins on day 2, 6-0, 6-0. It's just kind of just getting ready for the spring slate. And this is exactly, what the situation is right now, Carter, as well in track and field, this is just warm up time. You know what I'm saying? So, you want to go, you're going against competition, but it's not like, oh my God, this is, we're taking key takeaways from this and, all that. So overall though, hey, look, we got some new double pairings with Leeson and Marcon and Drew Karova and Rude, and, those work well. So again, yeah, nice little warm up, real fun begins soon. Expected, but, awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of harken back to when the men's team played St. Leo, to start their season. Just kind of a fun little exhibition. Get to highlight or showcase some of the local colleges that have a tennis team, a women's tennis team, because that's huge for them. Getting to play with USF is a lot of fun just for everyone involved. A lot of good vibes here. They play the way they should. Don't get me wrong. It's USF. They're a big time program.
Yeah. And also, I do have to mention that with tennis being such an international sport,
right?
I have seen this myself. This is not SBC or HCC or U Tampa, but there are a lot of international talents starting their college career at small schools or community colleges. There's a lot of phenomenal players in the NJCAA. So there's that's the beauty about tennis or some of these smaller sports is there really are hidden gems.
Yeah, 100%. And if there's something that I know and Musab Tariq loves, it's a hidden gem. So yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's so much fun. And now turning our focus to the men's tennis team as well. They took a W versus Washington in the ITA Kickoff Championship. Some key performances there, Musab. We had some really good ones, right? It's a lot of singles and then a few doubles as well. What were some key matches that came out of that men's tennis?
Yeah, man. So first of all, Ettore Danesi, he won his singles match 6-1, 6-4. Stefan Maruzek won his singles, 7-5, 6-3. Gugi Verdis, he won his singles in a very dominant fashion, 6-2, 6-1. And then our star, Mr. Hugo Carr, ranked 28 right now in the NCAA. Wasn't able to finish his match, but was leading 6-4 and then 4-4 in the second set against 89 ranked Soham Purohit. But our doubles team, we came in clutch. Our USF doubles won both tie breaks to secure, the opening team point. So USF defeated, University of Washington 4-0. So,
wow.
Winning those 2 tie breaks was, that first team point, making it 1-0. Just kind of nice to see, the talents already kind of started, a little battle between 2 top opponents, Hugo Carr and Soham Purohit.
Yeah.
And again, how efficient we were with, us winning all single matches in straight sets. So yeah, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, they took the loss to Texas, University of Texas, like playing the Longhorns. That's a big time program as well. And Hugo Carr, unfortunately, he wasn't able to take a victory against the number 39th ranked Sebastian Gorsny. He lost in 2 sets, 6-4, 7-5. But it was Gorsny's number 39 in the country. Obviously, Carr's 28, so you'd think on paper that Carr might hold an advantage, but it's narrow enough to where they're kind of close. So it's kind of fun. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. Hugo Carr and James Newton also lost a doubles match. But they really pushed a top tier duo with the University of Texas, and it was still a really fun match for them because University of Texas, I mean, they're such a big program that it's going to be tough for any school that's not also at that level to compete. But USF definitely held their own for the most part. So next up, they got UC Santa Barbara. That's February 1st, so it's coming up. So that should be a lot of fun. But I know we talked about this a little bit last week, but the lacrosse team, they have their exhibition on January 30th to open up the season against University of Tampa. And then February 7th against Niagara. So there's a lot of fun stuff because they were a first-year program last year, right, Musab?
Yes, they were. And it's I wasn't aware, but I mean, just how much noise we made, or how well we did in all aspects, on and off the field, when it came to USF lacrosse, setting NCAA records for a first year program. Total attendance, we were third in the NCAA single game high. We were eighth. We had over 2,300, 2,386 to be exact, and on average, we were fourth in the NCAA with attendance, averaging 921. So that's just that's the kind of the fans, and how big the fan base is, or I guess the vibe, the vibe stats. But actually on the field, though, we were really good too. First of all, we ranked first in the American Athletic Conference in 8 categories, and achieved even high national rankings. Scoring offense, we were 8th in the NCAA, scoring margin 9th. Shots per game, we were 3rd. Shots per goal per game, we were 4th. And then points per game, we were 11th in the NCAA. So just so refreshing, or so amazing to see a program like USF off to such a fiery start. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna have to find a way to make something happen, attend one of these games. Maybe I'll show up February 7th against Niagara and see how that goes. But
man.
Even the socials, I know I mentioned before with the whole vibes, but our socials is going crazy.
Yeah, man, they've got a lot of impressions and engagements on those posts. I know I think you listed it out. They're like first in impressions in the American and 8th in the country in terms of like lacrosse social media accounts and engagement. They're first in the American, 7th in the country. Like they surpassed a lot of big time schools, right? Like Clemson, Michigan, Virginia, Penn State, and Duke during that same period. So a lot of really fun stuff there. We might have to make it an RBLR night, at the lacrosse matchup. We're going to have to show out. I know we've got to go to a baseball game together for sure. But lacrosse, that could be a lot of fun too. So if you want to keep, stay in the loop about,
and there's also some baseball and softball too.
Yeah, softball as well. Yeah, and luckily those.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just thought about it just because they had Ken Erickson actually at the halftime show yesterday. And he was just cool. Talking about the program and how excited he was, and again emphasizing that when it comes to USF softball, we're part of that Power 4 conference. We're already with the big dogs. You know what I'm saying? So we compete against the big dogs this season, that's another story. But we're already in the spotlight, which is good. Unlike some other programs who don't have too much respect yet.
That's right. No, that's right. Hey, no, I'm glad you gave him a shout out because that totally flew under my radar, frankly. But yeah, you see the basketball teams and the football team, kind of fighting to get into the bigger conference. USF softball, they're already there, brother. They're already chilling. Like you said, Coach Erickson is he's kind of a legend in the softball world, to be quite honest with you. So it's a lot of fun that he's there. And, it should be a lot of fun to watch them compete as well as the baseball team. They should both be pretty prominent, softball especially, but even baseball too. So yeah, we'll have to attend a game, Mr. Tariq. We'll have to have an RBLR night at the USF baseball/softball stadium. So that will be a lot of fun. But yeah, thank y'all for tuning in. We're coming towards the end of our episode. Really appreciate y'all sticking around with us and talking some USF sports. We'll be around next week as well to continue to break down some men's basketball stuff. We'll talk about the Tulane game, talk about the women's basketball team and how they're doing in conference play, as well as any other USF athletics happenings. So appreciate y'all again for tuning in. Like I said, hit that like and subscribe button if you want to keep in the loop, keep up to date with the USF sports. But thank you to my wonderful co-host, Mr. Musab Tariq. Thank you to y'all for tuning in. And as always, go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.